going on, ladies and gentlemen? How you all doing? And I'm here with a special video. As I mentioned in my community post, I wanted to do something SummerSlam related since SummerSlam had already come and gone. And man, SummerSlam comes early every year. It's like usually the first week. I'm more used to watching it like the second week of August, second or third week of August. And now here we are. And of course, I apologize. I want to do a prediction video, but of course, since it's in the past, but now it's looked to the future. But as a makeup for it, I decided to throw out the biggest question: what are the best SummerSlam shows out there? What are the best ones that you would go back to watch during during this part of the summer? Like that got everyone thinking, because we always talk about the best manias, but what about the best SummerSlams? Is there a top 10 or a top 5? Well, in my opinion, I think I got it down to a good core top 5 best SummerSlams. Okay, and for my criteria, I'm not counting attendance figures. I'm not talking about reviews or star ratings. I'm just or pay-per-view buy rates. None of that. I just want to focus on the moments and whether or not the fans approved or disapproved of the entire show. So yeah, it's kind of like that. So, and essentially, like, what do you think? When you go back and look at the history of SummerSlam, there's so many good ones, there's some stinkers, but there's so many great moments that have happened in the history of this show. All right, so this was a tough task. I would have done a top 10, but I think I was able to narrow it down to 5. And I think these top 5, here's my picks for the top 5, okay? But let's get the honorable mentions out of the way. I put SummerSlam 99 for one reason, and that is I thought the main event was an interesting one. Yeah, a triple threat match with Steve Austin, Triple H, and Mankind, or Mick Foley. And yeah, a very special guest referee, and of course, the then governor of Minnesota, since it was in Minnesota, with Jesse Bobby Ventura. I also put SummerSlam 94. While it was a great card, but had the wrong main event. They should have swapped the main event, which, if you guys remember, Undertaker versus Undertaker match, they should have just swapped that with the steel cage match. Had the steel cage match just go on last. Have Brett and Owen have their money-making match. They're one of the best steel cage matches, in my opinion, in the entire company's history. Another one I would also put, as I mentioned, would be SummerSlam 97. Why? Because this is one of three SummerSlam cards that took place in the Garden State. And this one, the main event was Bret Hart versus The Undertaker. And of course, I've talked about this match in the past before, where it's still, to me, it's like when Bret and Taker have a match, that you're going to get something amazing, okay? And this one, I felt like it delivered. My only gripe about this match was the finish, but of course, it would eventually lead down the road to something even better. You know where I'm going with this, which is, eventually, well, one good thing and one bad thing, which is the feud with Kane, and then, of course, obviously, the Montreal Screwjob. Of course, that's a story for another time. I also put SummerSlam 2013 as an honorable mention. Why? Daniel Bryan finally capturing the championship. Yay! Only to get robbed from him from Randy Orton, who had just cashed in with his Money in the Bank. And of course, obviously, Triple H screwed Bryan over, giving him a pedigree. So eventually, all that, and that leads to the big chase that we all wanted to see. We wanted to see Daniel Bryan get his moment in the sun, get his time to shine, and get that gold that he's been chasing for so long. And we all know how that turned out. Okay, so those are some honorable mentions, but now let's get to what I feel is the top 5, all right? Number 5, I put SummerSlam 98, a.k.a. Highway to Hell. And I'm going to say this right now. People say this is one of the best SummerSlams of the Attitude Era, and I definitely agree. I've seen this pay-per-view maybe, my God, almost like half a dozen times, and it doesn't get old. There's so many great moments and good matches. You got a ladder match between Triple H and The Rock, a hair versus hair match between X-Pac and Jeff Jarrett, a dumpster match, and of course an incredible main event between Steve Austin and The Undertaker. And of course, what's memorable is just the fact that they just took what they had and ran with it. And also the crazy thing is, Undertaker actually broke his tailbone while doing that leg drop off the top rope through the table. Yeah, there's a reason why that table didn't break. It just slid, bounced, and that's how he broke his tailbone, supposedly. in theory. But overall, I really enjoyed the whole gimmick of that SummerSlam. All right, and so yeah, if you've not seen SummerSlam Highway Hell, I definitely recommend it because there's a lot going into it. If you want to watch the build to that, it's a little interesting. But of course, oh my God, it's like holy shit, Kane and the Undertaker working together. What the hell happened? Earlier that year, they were fighting against each other. Now they're teaming together. What's the deal there? I love the perfect storytelling, a great chapter in the Brothers of Destruction saga. Coming at number 4, this was a tough one. I was not gonna put this one on my list because I thought it was a meh show. But after much thought, I was like, it's actually a decent show, and that's SummerSlam 2001, aka the Invasion. SummerSlam. You know, since it was part of the infamous Invasion angle, which of course everyone will say was both good and bad, which was kind of a bit of a letdown. But I will say there was plenty of titles up for grabs. But I will say the match quality was good. You had a hard, hot-hitting open between two fellow Canadians with Edge and Lance Storm over the Intercontinental Championship. And seriously, what do they put in their waters up in the Great White North with these guys? They just tore the house down. And then, of course, you had a very cool ladder match for the Hardcore Championship, although there's an infamous botch in that between Van Dam and Hardy. It's a great chapter, the Hardy-Van Dam feud, which, of course, they would continue that across multiple companies, if you know where I'm going with that. And then, of course, you had a double championship main event. You had Steve Austin defending the WWE Championship against Kurt Angle. And then, of course, The Rock facing Booker T for the WCW Championship. It's an interesting take, but of course, you can definitely see, okay, the storytelling's there. We all know what's going to happen further down the line, which, of course, we would eventually see these two become undisputed champion. You know, we all know how that turned out, kind of thing. So, yeah, something to think about, okay? For good or for worse, you know, but at least there was some good quality matches on that show. And speaking of quality matches, number 3, I put SummerSlam 2000. 3 words: tables, ladders, chairs. Enough said. And then, of course, obviously, another interesting main event, a triple threat match between The Rock, Triple H, and Kurt Angle, which, of course, Kurt Angle actually got concussed, which is scary to think about, just going back, and the fact that he didn't remember a damn thing, they were just helping him through the match was just insane, a little unsafe, but seriously, that TLC match is the one to watch for that show, okay? Come on. Can't go wrong with a match like that. Coming in at number 2, I said SummerSlam 1992, and for a couple of reasons. One, this was the first and so far the only SummerSlam to be held outside of North America. This was in Wembley Stadium in London, and of course the fact that this had a somewhat solid show, like it almost had like a WrestleMania feel. All the pageantry was there. It was cool to see. You had Brett versus the British Bulldog in the main event with a clinic, a match that I've watched and studied more times than you think in my brief wrestling career. Just the more I think about it, it's a great main event, and it's a match I always recommend you guys have to watch. All right, and of course, as for the undercard, let's see. Nothing too special, but there's some great tag team attractions. The Undertaker faces Kamala in a bit of a squash match. You know, kind of doesn't go anywhere, but they do get a rematch later in their story. And then, of course, the other big one is, of course, the Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage over the WWE Championship. And then, of course, you got the whole who's paid out who, something that involved Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect. Oh, someone's going to turn, but of course, if anybody doesn't remember what happened there, eventually it just turns into a big, no one sold out to Flair or anyone kind of thing. But it's still a good match, even though we all know what's going to happen further with Ultimate Warrior's career. I apologize, my voice is a little crack. And coming at number 1, I think it's pretty freaking obvious. It's SummerSlam 2002. How the hell not? Okay, can I not put this as one of the best SummerSlams ever? Because it came at a pivotal time, and we're not a year that I was becoming a big major fan. And I remember. Oh yes, all the build going into it. This Rey Mysterio's pay-per-view debut, yeah, because he had just debuted earlier in the summer, and of course, I still have that moment on a VHS of him debuting on SmackDown, him flying off that cage. I was like, wow. And then of course, here he is. He's feuding with Kurt Angle. And then of course, gotta talk about that street fight between Shawn Michaels, who hasn't wrestled in almost 4 years, facing Triple H. A great classic match, and of course, the coronation of Brock Lesnar. You know, you can tell they were strapping the rock to this guy. This guy won King of the Ring earlier that year. And of course, yeah, I can't believe I'm saying this. Yeah, King of the Ring. Does anybody remember that? Finally, 20-something years later, someone finally said, "Oh, whoever wins King of the Ring, they become number one contender for the championship." Finally, they do something good for that one. So you get my drift with this, but either way. It's a great main event, good show. And of course, even though we know pretty much after this, The Rock would leave for Hollywood, but it was pretty much a symbolic passing of the torch because we all knew Lesnar was going to win. It was a foregone conclusion, and we all know where Lesnar was going to go with that belt and everything else. So, yeah. Between that and the honorable mentions, those. That's just me. I think we're all in agreement that I think these are the top best SummerSlams. Okay, but everyone has their own opinions and what their rankings are. But again, this is just me. If I want to hear what yours are. Okay, it's getting kind of late, but stay tuned for some more exciting stuff. Thank you guys so much. I apologize for putting this video out late than I thought. But anyway, I hope you guys see you all soon. Hey, maybe some more content coming out. Okay. Anyway, thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for some more awesome and exciting content.